Let me ask you something. Why do you feel the need to announce your every move? Who told you that broadcasting your dreams, your struggles, and your next big step is the way to success? Because I'm here to tell you, silence is power. See, in a world where everybody is running their mouth, real power belongs to the ones who know when to keep theirs shut. Think about it. Does the lion announce when it's about to pounce? Does the eagle scream before it soars? No. They move in silence, and when they strike, the world takes notice. Silence is power because it allows you to move with precision, free from the noise and interference of outside opinions. When you keep your thoughts, plans, and strategies to yourself, you maintain control over your destiny. Too often, people feel the need to share their every move, seeking validation from those who have no stake in their success. But the moment you open your mouth, you expose your vision to doubt, criticism, and unnecessary distractions. Silence gives you the space to build without interruption, to strategize without opposition, and to execute without interference. The world is filled with talkers, people who love to announce what they're going to do but rarely follow through. They speak about their goals, their ambitions, and their next big move, but when it comes time to take action, they fall short. Why? Because they waste their energy talking instead of working. Words can be empty, but actions are undeniable. When you operate in silence, you redirect all that energy toward progress. You move with intention. You focus on execution rather than explanation. And by the time the world hears about what you've done, it's already finished. Success is not about impressing people with your words. It's about proving your worth through results. The wealthiest and most powerful individuals do not announce every decision they make. They work quietly behind the scenes, refining their skills, expanding their influence, and building their empire. When the time comes, they reveal what they've accomplished, and it speaks louder than any words ever could. Silence is not about secrecy, it's about strength. It's about knowing that your work is more valuable than public approval, that your progress does not require permission, and that your achievements should be undeniable. There is wisdom in keeping your life private. Not everyone who listens to you is rooting for you. Some are waiting for your downfall. Some will pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fail. The more you reveal, the more vulnerable you become to envy, doubt, and sabotage. When you move in silence, you protect yourself from the negativity of others. You shield your dreams from those who lack vision. You eliminate unnecessary resistance and allow your focus to remain unshaken. Privacy is not about isolation. It's about insulation, guarding your energy, your mind, and your purpose from external interference. Discipline is the foundation of power, and silence strengthens that discipline. When you resist the urge to seek validation, you develop a mindset of self-reliance. You stop looking for approval and start relying on your own abilities. The moment you stop announcing your plans, you start making real progress. You shift from being a person who talks about potential to a person who embodies action. The discipline of silence builds confidence because it forces you to trust yourself instead of depending on the opinions of others. It trains you to stay committed, to keep pushing forward, and to let your success be your voice. Great leaders, powerful entrepreneurs, and master strategists all understand the importance of moving in silence. They recognize that making noise too soon attracts unnecessary opposition. When you are building something valuable, you don't put it on display for people to critique before it's even ready. You refine it, perfect it, and let the results do the talking. Imagine planting a seed and constantly digging it up to show people it will never have the chance to grow. But when you leave it undisturbed, it takes root, it strengthens, and one day it becomes something unshakable. The power of silence extends beyond business and success. It applies to every area of life, your relationships, your finances, your personal growth. These are things that thrive in privacy. When you share too much, you open the door for unnecessary opinions, for people to influence your choices, and for distractions to creep in. Your journey is yours alone, and it doesn't need to be broadcast for the world to see. Move in silence, protect your peace, and allow yourself to grow without interference. True power is not found in how loudly you speak, but in how effectively you move. The greatest transformations happen in private, away from the noise, in the moments when no one is watching. Silence is the breeding ground for mastery, for strategy, and for unstoppable momentum. The less you announce, the more you achieve. The less you seek validation, the more confidence you build. The less you rely on outside opinions, the stronger you become. Talking too much invites distractions because every word spoken is an open invitation for opinions, judgments, and unnecessary interference. When people constantly share their plans, their ideas, and their next moves, they expose themselves to outside influences that can easily derail their progress. Words once released cannot be taken back, and they often create expectations that add pressure rather than motivation. When you vocalize every goal, you allow others to inject doubt, skepticism, and negativity into something that was once pure and full of potential. Silence, on the other hand, acts as a shield, protecting your vision from those who lack the faith or understanding to see what you are building. The mind is like a battlefield, and the more voices that enter, the harder it becomes to focus. Every time you speak about what you are doing, you are allowing someone else's mindset to influence yours. Some people will unintentionally plant seeds of fear, questioning whether your idea is realistic or whether you have what it takes. Others will offer their opinions not from experience, but from their own limitations and failures. The more you listen, the more those voices start to shape your thinking. Instead of working with clarity, you begin to second guess yourself, wondering if maybe they are right. And that doubt becomes the very thing that slows you down, making you hesitant when you should be decisive. Momentum is everything when it comes to success, and excessive talking is one of the fastest ways to lose it. People spend hours discussing what they plan to do, how they are preparing, and what they expect to achieve, but in the end, all they have done is talk. The energy that should have gone into execution has already been wasted in conversation. Time is the most valuable asset, and every moment spent explaining your plans is a moment taken away from actually making them happen. It is easy to mistake talking for progress, but real progress only happens through action. Those who talk less and do more are the ones who ultimately reach their goals. Distractions don't just come from other people, they come from within. The more you talk, the more your mind becomes scattered, moving in too many directions at once. Instead of concentrating on the work at hand, you start thinking about how others perceive you, whether they approve of your choices, and how you can live up to their expectations. Your focus shifts from execution to explanation, and before you know it, you are more concerned with defending your vision than building it. A distracted mind cannot produce great results. The ability to block out noise and keep your attention locked on your purpose is what separates those who achieve from those who only dream. Social media has made talking a habit, encouraging people to share every aspect of their journey before they have even begun. They announce their goals, their struggles, and every little step they take, seeking encouragement and validation. But the moment something is spoken publicly, it loses its personal power. Instead of being an internal driving force, it becomes a performance. People start chasing applause rather than mastery. They become addicted to the reaction rather than the results. The need to constantly update others takes priority over the need to develop real skill and discipline. In the end, they become distracted by the illusion of progress instead of actual progress. There's a reason why the most successful individuals do not waste time explaining themselves. They understand that talking does not create results, work does. They are not concerned with proving their plans to others because they are too busy executing them. Their silence is not secrecy, it is strategy. Every minute spent speaking about their moves is a minute taken away from actually making those moves. They know that distractions are a luxury they cannot afford, so they guard their focus like their most valuable possession. They are deliberate with their words, speaking only when necessary and letting their results be their voice. Even in personal relationships, excessive talking can be a distraction. When you constantly discuss your problems, your struggles, or your ambitions, you start to rely on the reactions of others to determine your next move. You give people the power to influence your emotions, to sway your decisions, and to shape your path. The more you talk, the more you open yourself up to unnecessary stress and emotional weight. There is strength in knowing what to keep to yourself. When you learn to manage your own thoughts without needing external input, you develop a level of self-sufficiency that makes you unstoppable. Mastery requires discipline, and discipline requires focus. Every time you engage in unnecessary conversations about what you are going to do, you take your attention away from actually doing it. Talking too much creates an illusion of progress, but illusions do not build wealth, success, or greatness. The only thing that does is action. The less you speak about your goals, the more energy you have to work on them. The fewer opinions you invite, the clearer your vision remains. The less you seek validation, the stronger you become. Protect your vision because no one else will see it as clearly as you do. The ideas, dreams, and goals that have been placed in your heart are yours to nurture, and if you allow too many outside influences, they can be weakened before they ever have the chance to grow. Vision is fragile in its early stages, easily damaged by doubt, negativity, and the limitations of those who cannot see what you see. When you share your vision too soon, you open the door for distractions, opinions, and even jealousy to creep in. Some people will question your ambition, not because they truly care about you, but because your growth reminds them of their own stagnation. Keeping your vision protected allows you to build with clarity and focus, free from the weight of unnecessary opposition. One of the greatest threats to your vision is the influence of small-minded people. There are those who will try to impose their fears on you, convincing you that your dreams are too big, your goals too unrealistic, and your path too difficult. But their perception of what is possible is based on their own experiences, not yours. If you listen too closely, you will begin to shrink your own dreams to fit within their limited understanding. Protecting your vision means guarding it against the fears and insecurities of others. It means recognizing that not everyone is qualified to speak into your life, and that wisdom comes from those who have walked the path of success, not from those who have settled for mediocrity. Your vision is also threatened by unnecessary exposure. When you constantly speak about what you plan to do, you invite scrutiny and criticism before you have even begun. People start offering their opinions whether or not they have any real knowledge of your journey. Some will try to discourage you while others may attempt to copy your ideas before you have a chance to bring them to life. The more you reveal, the more vulnerable you become. But when you move in silence, you maintain control. You decide when and how to present your work to the world, and by the time they see it, it is already too strong to be stopped. Doubt is another silent killer of vision, and it often comes from within. The more you allow yourself to be swayed by external voices, the more you begin to question whether you are truly capable. You start second-guessing your decisions, delaying action, and hesitating where you should be executing. Protecting your vision means strengthening your mindset. It means feeding your faith instead of your fears. Surrounding yourself with knowledge and inspiration rather than negativity and doubt. Your mind must be fortified against anything that weakens your belief in what is possible. If you do not guard your thoughts, your own doubts will destroy your vision before you even take the first step. Discipline is required to protect your vision because distractions will always try to pull you away. Every moment spent defending your goals to people who do not understand them is a moment taken away from actually working on them. Every conversation spent explaining your purpose to someone who cannot grasp it is energy wasted that could have been used for execution. The most successful individuals do not entertain meaningless debates about their future. They stay focused, they move with intention, and they let their results be the proof of their vision. If you are constantly explaining yourself, you are already distracted. True commitment requires the discipline to ignore anything that does not contribute to your progress. Not everyone deserves access to your vision, and that includes the people closest to you. Sometimes family and friends will be the first to cast doubt on your dreams, not out of malice, but because they have never seen it done before. They project their own limitations onto you, assuming that if they couldn't achieve it, neither can you. But their perspective is not your reality. Protecting your vision means learning to separate love from influence. You can care for people without allowing their fears to shape your decisions. You must be willing to stand alone in your belief, even when no one else understands, because faith in your vision is what will bring it to life. There is a reason why the greatest accomplishments in history were often met with resistance before they were realized. Every groundbreaking idea, every revolutionary invention, every extraordinary success was once seen as impossible, but the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is that the successful ones never allowed outside voices to dictate their belief. They protected their vision fiercely, refused to be swayed by doubt, and pressed forward until the world had no choice but to recognize their greatness. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, you must develop the same resilience. Your vision is the blueprint for your future, and without protection, it can be altered, weakened, or even destroyed before it manifests. There will always be obstacles, negativity, and opposition, but none of it can stop you unless you allow it to. Your responsibility is to nurture your vision, to guard it from unnecessary exposure, and to remain focused on the work required to bring it to life. The stronger your commitment to protecting it, the more unstoppable you become. People waste too much time trying to prove themselves with words instead of letting their actions do the talking. They explain, justify, and seek validation, thinking that if they can convince others of their potential, it will somehow make them more credible. But words don't create success, execution does. The loudest person in the room is often the weakest because they rely on speech to compensate for a lack of results. When you focus on proving yourself through action, you eliminate the need for explanations. Your work, your progress, and your achievements become undeniable, leaving no room for doubt or debate. Talking about what you plan to do does nothing to bring it to life. Some people spend years discussing their ambitions, laying out their goals, and making promises about what they are going to accomplish, yet nothing ever materializes. They confuse conversation with movement, but the two are not the same. Progress happens in the quiet hours of effort, in the discipline of consistency, and in the execution of well-laid plans. Those who truly succeed understand that results carry more weight than opinions, and that speaking about success is meaningless without the work to back it up. The world only respects results. No one cares how hard you are working until there is proof that your work is producing something of value. People judge based on what they can see, not on what they hear. If you spend too much time talking, you set expectations before you have anything tangible to show for it. And when the results don't match the words, credibility is lost. But when you stay silent and focus on producing, the impact of your work speaks for itself. There is no need for explanation because the evidence is clear. Letting results speak for you removes the need for validation. Many people talk excessively about their plans because they are secretly looking for approval. They want others to reassure them that they are on the right path. But this dependence on external validation weakens confidence. True belief in your vision means moving forward whether others acknowledge it or not. When you stop explaining yourself and start delivering results, confidence is built from within. You stop caring about opinions because your work speaks louder than any praise or criticism ever could. Results create influence in a way that words never will. People follow those who have proof of success, not those who just talk about it. When you consistently produce results, you earn respect, opportunities, and credibility without having to seek them. Others start paying attention, not because you ask them to, but because what you've built demands recognition. The strongest leaders and most successful individuals don't waste time convincing people of their worth. They prove it through undeniable outcomes. And when results are present, even those who doubted you have no choice but to acknowledge your success. Every moment spent explaining yourself is a moment taken away from actually working on your craft. The best way to silence doubters, critics, and skeptics is not through argument, but through undeniable evidence of progress. When you let results speak for you, there is nothing to debate. Even those who try to discredit you will struggle to deny what is right in front of them. Instead of defending your dreams with words, defend them with execution. Let your growth, your achievements, and your impact make the statement for you. The most disciplined and successful people are often the quietest because they understand the power of focus. They do not seek applause for their efforts. They are too busy perfecting their craft. They know that every second spent talking is a second that could have been used to improve, build, and refine. By the time the world notices their work, it is already too late to stop them. Their results have spoken so loudly that there is no need for introduction or explanation. They have already proven themselves without ever having to say a word. When you let results speak for you, you develop an unstoppable mindset. You no longer feel the need to announce your plans, defend your ambitions, or prove your worth to anyone. You simply do the work, and the work speaks for itself. People who once doubted you will wonder how you did it. Those who ignored you will start paying attention, and those who talk the most will realize that while they were busy speaking, you were busy succeeding. Seeking validation is one of the biggest traps that keeps people from reaching their full potential. When you constantly look for approval from others, you give them power over your decisions, your confidence, and your future. Instead of moving forward with certainty, you hesitate, waiting for someone else to confirm that you are on the right path. But the truth is, most people are not qualified to validate your vision because they do not see what you see. They judge based on their own experiences, their own fears, and their own limitations. If you allow their opinions to dictate your actions, you will never break past the barriers they have set for themselves. The need for validation weakens confidence and creates dependency. Every time you seek approval before making a move, you are reinforcing the belief that your own judgment is not enough. Over time, this dependence grows stronger, and instead of trusting yourself, you begin to rely on external voices to tell you what is possible. But the reality is, no one can see your potential the way you can. No one knows your capabilities, your resilience, or your ability to overcome challenges better than you do. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you reclaim control over your own destiny. The most successful people in the world are those who move forward without waiting for permission. They do not waste time trying to convince others to believe in their vision because they understand that belief must come from within. If they had waited for approval, they would have never taken the first step. Every groundbreaking idea, every major success, every transformation started with someone who refused to let external opinions determine their action. They trusted their instincts, acted on their convictions, and let their results prove them right. Validation seeking is a distraction that slows progress and invites unnecessary doubt. When you constantly share your plans, asking for feedback and approval, you expose yourself to opinions that do nothing but create confusion. Some people will question your ability, not because they truly understand what you are capable of, but because they project their own fears onto you. Others will discourage you, not out of concern, but because they do not want to see you surpass them. The more voices you allow into your decision-making process, the harder it becomes to stay focused and move with confidence. When you stop seeking validation, you develop an unshakable mindset. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself, to justify your decisions, or to prove your worth to anyone. You become self-sufficient in your thinking, knowing that the only approval that matters is your own. This shift in mindset frees you from the pressure of external expectations and allows you to operate with clarity and purpose. Instead of seeking confirmation from others, you begin to trust your own experiences, instincts, and knowledge to guide you. Relying on validation limits creativity and originality. When you constantly look for approval, you start shaping your ideas to fit what others expect rather than what you truly believe. You begin to conform instead of innovate, afraid to take risks because of how it might be perceived. But the greatest breakthroughs come from those who dare to go against the grain, who trust their vision even when others do not understand it. True creativity comes from the courage to act on your own beliefs regardless of who agrees or disagrees. Validation seeking also leads to emotional instability because it ties your sense of self-worth to the reactions of others. When people approve of your decisions, you feel confident, but the moment they criticize or doubt you, that confidence crumbles. This creates a cycle where your self-esteem is constantly dependent on external feedback, leaving you vulnerable to the opinions of people who may not even have your best interest at heart. When you learn to validate yourself, you break free from this cycle. Your confidence becomes rooted in your own abilities, your own growth, and your own inner strength. The most powerful thing you can do is move in silence. Take action without waiting for applause, and trust yourself enough to know that you are on the right path. The moment you stop seeking validation, you gain the ability to move freely, to think boldly, and to act with certainty. You no longer feel the need to be understood because you understand yourself. You no longer wait for permission. You no longer seek approval because you know that true success is not measured by applause, but by results. Success is built in silence behind closed doors where no one is watching. The real work, the discipline, the sacrifices, these are the things that happen in private long before anyone ever sees the results. Too many people waste time announcing their plans, sharing their strategies, and looking for applause before they have even accomplished anything. But the truth is, talking does not build results. Execution does. The most powerful individuals are not the ones making the most noise. They are the ones moving strategically, working relentlessly, and perfecting their craft without seeking attention. When you execute in private, you eliminate distractions. You are not concerned with who is watching, who is doubting, or who is waiting for you to fail. You are focused solely on the work. And that level of focus gives you an advantage over those who are too busy performing for an audience. Every moment spent explaining your next move is a moment taken away from actually making that move. The ones who dominate in public are the ones who have spent years working in silence, building themselves into something undeniable. By the time the world notices them, they are already too strong to be stopped. Moving in silence allows you to maintain control over your progress. When you share your goals too soon, you invite interference, unsolicited advice, skepticism, and even opposition from people who do not understand your vision. Some will try to discourage you, while others will attempt to compete with you before you are ready. But when you keep your execution private, you control the timing of your success. You decide when and how to reveal your achievements, and by the time others realize what you have been building, it is already too late for them to interfere. Execution in private also removes the pressure to perform for approval. When you constantly announce your plans, you create unnecessary expectations, and those expectations can become a burden. You start worrying about whether you are moving fast enough, whether people are still watching, and whether you are meeting the standards others have set for you. But when you keep your progress to yourself, you are free to move at your own pace, adjusting, improving, and refining your craft without the weight of public scrutiny. This is how true mastery is developed, without the distraction of outside opinions. The greatest victories are the ones that come unexpectedly. When you work in silence and reveal your success only when it is fully formed, you catch people off guard. You do not give them time to doubt you, to interfere, or to compete with you. Instead, you emerge fully prepared, dominating in a way that leaves no room for debate. Those who spent time questioning you will have no choice but to recognize your achievements. Those who underestimated you will be forced to acknowledge your strength, and those who tried to compete with you will realize they were never truly in the race. Privacy in execution also protects your energy. When you keep your plans to yourself, you conserve the mental and emotional strength needed to stay committed to your goals. Sharing too much too soon exposes you to unnecessary negativity, criticism, and distractions that can drain your motivation. Some people do not want to see you succeed, not because they dislike you personally, but because your ambition reminds them of their own lack of progress. By keeping your moves private, you shield yourself from their energy and remain focused on what truly matters: execution. True power comes from proving yourself through results, not words. The ones who dominate in public are the ones who let their actions speak for them. They do not waste time debating their worth, defending their dreams, or seeking validation. They simply do the work, perfect their craft, and present their success as a finished product. By the time they step into the spotlight, they are not asking for recognition, they are commanding it. Their results are so strong, so undeniable, that no explanation is needed. When you execute in private and dominate in public, you position yourself as a force to be reckoned with. You eliminate the distractions, the noise, and the unnecessary opinions that slow others down. You move with precision, strategy, and confidence, knowing that your results will speak louder than anything you could ever say. The ones who achieve the greatest success are not the ones who seek attention at every step. They are the ones who stay focused, move with intention, and reveal their power only when the time is right.